Welcome to Nashville and Beyond.
I'm Brian Copeland.
And I'm Zach Copeland.
And we're a father-son duo helping people buy, sell, and thrive in Middle Tennessee.
But this isn't just about business. It's also about our family and our community.
It's a front row seat to how we live, work, and serve right here in Music City.
So buckle up as we explore Nashville and Beyond.
You may not remember this, but do you remember Inspector Gadget?
I do. The cartoon.
I remember watching Inspector Gadget when I was little and wanting one of those watches so bad. It seemed like, that watch would open up. Yep. And then, we had all these sci-fi shows back in the 70s, and they all had these watches that were so super cool. And I said, I cannot wait one day for them to create this piece of technology.
Yeah. There used to be a time when watches just told the time.
Yeah.
And we're quite a ways from that now.
Well, and watches were always like a fashion piece. You had swatches, and that was this huge 80s trend or 90s trend. And then you got that digital analog watch piece. And then you went watch shopping up in New York when we were up there and we're trying on. What was the most expensive watch you saw?
$120,000 watch I had on my wrist at one point.
It's crazy.
Insane. Well, today's episode is the one about smartwatches. What we use, why we use them, and how they change how we move throughout the day.
Yeah, so for me, watches were always a fashion piece for me. Mm-hmm. I love the idea of, and I'm the one who asked for this episode because I'm obsessed with watches. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I was little, I'd collect Winnie the Pooh watches. I had a Bert and Ernie watch. I just love this whole idea of having it. That's one piece of jewelry that seemed socially acceptable to my parents growing up because we couldn't do rings or necklaces or bracelets, but a watch was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And so every time a new Winnie the Pooh watch would come out, I would just be completely obsessed with getting the watch. And so I really struggled when smartwatches came out years ago. Mm-hmm. Christy Hairston, who's a broker she's the vice president of Compass here in Tennessee, she had an Apple Watch. And we'd be in our meetings for our executive team at the former real estate company we were before Compass acquired it. And her watch would start going off. And she'd be checking it constantly. And I was like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want a watch to control who I am. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of turned me off of smartwatches. And again, no bash on Christy. It was just, that's how a lot of people are with their watches. It's a phone for them.
Yeah.
And so I stayed away from them for a really long time. And then I kind of started this fitness thing, and it really changed my outlook toward watches, and especially the Apple Watch when it came about. It just really changed what happened. Because I look at the Apple Watch and any watch, you talk about your Spotify year in review with your music, and we talked a little bit about that on one of the episodes about you getting your music back and going, oh, this is what I listened to for the year. For me, my Apple Watch is kind of that highlight for me. Every week I get this report that says, hey, your activity's up, down, whatever. So it's really changed the way that I approach things.
Yeah, I used to wear a Tag Heuer watch. I think I'm saying it right.
Ooh.
It was a watch that I got as a gift from a piano player friend of mine here in town, and he actually received it as a gift from an artist that he was on the road with for a really long time. And it's the nicest watch I've ever owned. It's got diamonds in it, and it's just a beautiful watch. I mean, it's only worth $1,500 or $2,000, but it meant a lot to me when I had it. And boy, when I got that thing, I would wear it everywhere. It was stainless steel, so it had that silver metallic look to it. And it didn't matter to me if it matched what I was wearing or not. I just wanted to wear it, especially out to the bar, because I was going out to the bars this was in my early 20s. Probably my mid-20s. I was going out to the bars a lot at that point. And boy, honey, I love to wear that watch and pull my sleeves back and just set my elbows down on the bar top and twiddle my fingers together just so I could make sure people saw that watch, because it was nice and those diamonds would catch the lights from the disco lights and sparkle, and I loved wearing it. And then probably 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, you got me my first Apple Watch.
Yeah.
And I had never
really... It was a hand-me-down, yeah.
Yeah, it was a hand-me-down, but I had never really thought about wearing an Apple Watch. Because I didn't wear watches daily as I want to keep time thing. I wore it out to be seen wearing that watch. And so it just wasn't something that I did all the time. and you got me this Apple Watch, and I started using it, and I just got so used to it, and now we both have the the top of the line Apple Watches, or what they're called, the Apple Watch Ultra or Pro or something.
Ultra 3s, or Ultra 2s.
Yeah. So I wear that now, and I love it. And it really became part of my daily routine pretty quickly. And now the first thing I do in the morning when I wake up, even before I get out of bed, is I put on my Apple Watch. I don't sleep in it. I've tried. I just can't sleep with anything on my body except for underwear. Sorry, y'all. That's too much information,
well,
but
the truth.
It is what it is.
There's nothing more disappointing to me than getting to the gym in the morning and getting on my very first piece and it says battery died because I didn't plug it in right the night before. It'll ruin my whole morning.
Yeah.
I'll have to. There have been times where I've left with a long time ago where I'd leave without the watch and I'd have to turn around and go back. I cannot function without my watch on because I feel like it's almost like I forgot my glasses or I'm walking out the door without a body part.
That's me with my AirPods.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if I get to the gym and I've realized that I can't listen to music while I'm working out, I'm turning around and going back and getting them. Yeah. With the water bottle, I can handle. I'll just buy a bottle of water at the gym and just refill the plastic bottle. But AirPods, absolutely, I've got to turn around and go back and get them. How does it feel when you don't have your watch on?
I feel completely naked. I feel like my whole body metrics are going to be messed up because I'm a real, and this goes into our business also because I'm a very, while I come across as this, woo, fly by the seat of my pants, yay, let's just go person. I'm very, very systemized. You know that about me. And there's a systemization to my health and body and my routines. And the Apple Watch is, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, is it's the controller of those. So without that, I feel like my day's not going to do what it needs to, and I'm not going to have my metrics in place to see if I was a successful humanoid that day. Yeah.
It's also really nice to, once you start wearing it every day, you use it for a lot more than you expected. Obviously, a watch is great at telling time. But for both of us, as you were just mentioning, fitness tracking is a big reason that we wear these watches.
Yeah, as you know, it's no secret. I've been on I've changed it from a weight loss journey now to a body change evolution journey.
It's a transformation, is what it is.
Yeah, because I look at pictures, like I was looking at our photo shoot that we took with Ashley, and that was the one we did at Broadwest, and I was looking at those pictures going. And I'd lost at that point 80 pounds. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm there. And I look and I weigh, the same now or similar weight, but the weight has really shifted. And I had to change one of the pictures on homes.com because I looked at the picture. I'm like, that didn't look like me. I was pudgy in the face, or, it was different. And so the Apple Watch, I will dare say, was the number one tool. This includes more than an elliptical machine, over a stationary bike, a Peloton.
Personal training?
Did I say that right? Peloton?
Yeah.
Okay. I always say it wrong.
You say Peloton.
He gets so mad at me. Smyrna. Over a personal trainer. The Apple Watch was number one.
Yeah.
Because the ring system I never understood, and most people don't understand this about. They're like, what does the stand thing mean? And what's the active calories versus passive calories? All that stuff. That really became again. I go back to that metric of I could not finish my day. I had my calories set at 2,000. I had to burn 2,000 calories a day before I could sit down. That means I couldn't do anything besides work. And there were nights that I would look at my watch and it would say 18:16. That means at 11:30, I had to be on the driveway of our house, walking up and down the driveway,
doing laps
when it was 10 degrees outside. And I remember asking Greg or the kids, "Will y'all go walking with me, or you to go walking with me?" Because I had to finish it out, and that was. It was the portal for me to say, okay, you've reached what you could for the day. So closing those rings are really important. And then there's this whole thing about how we share with each other in a time that we went through. We couldn't share. Talk a little bit about how we share.
Yeah. So one of the really cool things about the Apple Watch is that you can get activity notifications, and it's a feature that you can disable. But it's a way for you to see and keep up with those people around you that have Apple Watches and are part of that Apple ecosystem. A way for you to see their activity and what they're doing and what they're up to, down to how many hours they've stood today, how many calories they've burned today, how many minutes of exercise they've burned today, how many minutes of exercise they've done today. And one of our favorite things to do And if you are a developer for Apple and you're listening to this podcast, and I doubt that they are, but you never know. If you know someone who's a developer for Apple, specifically for their Apple Watches, tell them to really work on these automated message options that they have. Because, if somebody, for instance, if I am finishing a workout and I have closed my activity ring and I burned all my calories for the day that helped that ring close, Brian will get a notification that says, Zach closed his activity ring, or Zach closed his exercise ring. And it will then pop up on the Apple Watch, and there'll be like maybe 6 to 8 different automated text replies that you can send to me as a response to me closing my rings. And a few of them are, really boring, like, yay, good for you, exclamation point. But then there are just some really snide, catty ones. Like, is that all
really
you got?
The best you got? Yeah.
Yeah, and so we've made a habit of picking the cattiest option,
or the worst one,
one, or the cattiest option that pops up, and using that as what we send to each other. And it's pretty funny sometimes when we get those. But
we went through a time where I couldn't see your stuff.
Yeah.
And it kind of blew both. It was stressful on both of us. Actually, I know that seems silly and like a dramatic statement, but this was such a connection for us because you were my accountability partner, and still to some degree, we still keep each other very much so in check, just to be like, oh, Zach just finished, his treadmill time, and Zach's doing that, so I know what you did.
Yeah.
And there's even times where you were actually you were doing some moving here at the house, and you were like, just FYI, I wasn't at the gym. I turned it on functional strength training, and I don't want you to think I went back to the gym. And it's like this accountability piece, because we're serious about it.
Yeah.
Because, you've said, I want to be able to have the body that I want to go into my, my 40s and 50s and everything with, and I want to be beefy, and I want to be this bigger guy. You got goals for that.
Yeah.
And I've told you I've got to make sure that I exercise and eat right. And having those notifications, I mean, it's become not just a mechanical piece for us, but it's become an emotional bonding piece for us of need there.
And there's something else that I forgot to put in the show notes, and I'm just now realizing it, but it's a huge part of the fitness aspect of smartwatches, specifically Apple Watches, and it's the badges. So you get these badges when you do.
I know what you're going to tell. I know this
story. You get these badges when you do certain activities, and they'll have like challenges that they'll send out, like
things he would normally never do.
Yeah, like one day there was a International Day of Dancing, and you could get a badge if you did like 30 minutes of a dance exercise, because there's a bunch of different populated exercises.
So his butt was over at the house at like past bedtime, because he's like, oh, puppy, I've got to come over.
Yeah. And so I came over to the house, and we did a Zumba on the TV in the living room. And
horrible YouTube video.
Yeah, it's awful.
Some African video.
Afro beats music was playing, and boy, we look like just the whitest dancers you've ever seen in your life, but we got those badges,
and so proud of it. I mean, we're like, we got our badge, and I don't know why it's a big deal. Nobody sees these badges. It's not like we get anything special for it. It's just like, you'll call me and be like, today if we do this, we get our warrior badge. Oh, okay, got it. What do we got to do? And then you got real pissed one month.
it was last year. Y'all listen to this. So we went to Epic Universe in Florida for my birthday, and while we were there, we walked a ton. So I was walking like 12 miles a day while we were out there. And so that really skewed my average daily walk for that month. Well, the next month, I get this notification on the 1st of October that says, you walked an average of 8 miles a day last month. Do the same thing every day this month to earn your October badge. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, how am I going to walk 8 miles every single day? I don't even like walking, first of all.
You complained about this for a whole week.
Yeah. And so then finally,
I was like, go appeal it to Mr. Apple. I mean, I can't help you, buddy.
Yeah. And so finally I realized that it wasn't that I needed to record a outdoor walk or indoor walk exercise for 8 miles, but that it would also count the steps that I was taking throughout the day too as that daily total. And so I ended up, just doing I would do like 2.5 miles on the treadmill at the gym. And then, about halfway through the month, I was like, "Oh, it's saying that I'm reaching this goal, so it must be working." But I was so irritated. I was like, "How in the world am I going to do this?"
Well, the other thing is like you used to be a real late sleeper, and then we started working together, and your sleeping habits changed. You started getting up earlier, and I wouldn't want to bother you in the morning because I'm like, his sleep is so precious to him, but I know you always put your watch on. And his watch will show nothing on my side, and that lets me know that he's still asleep and to leave him alone. But the second I see color light up on there and he'll say 0 on everything, I know he's up. And then I can text and say, hey, how was your sleep, or how was it, that kind of thing. So also there's this family safety piece, because I know when you are up and around, like there's been times where I haven't heard from you, and it could have been that you were just busy, or you were, God forbid, still on the commode or whatever you're doing, and I could tell it's like, oh, he's alive because his watch is actually registered something. Or sometimes you were just like out in the garden doing something. So as a father, it gave me real peace when I hadn't heard from you from the night before, and be like, okay, he's alive, he's up and moving, because I can see it on his watch.
And I think one of the other things, just to stay in fitness for a minute more, is the being able to have accurate data is so important.
It is.
And when you don't use a smartwatch or a fitness-related wearable device, because there's other options too. There's the Aura rings, and then there's the chest things that Nike makes that you can wear. Without having access to that kind of data, it's really hard for you to say, oh, I know I burned this many calories, and I know my heart rate was XYZ. And something that we've started doing recently is taking screenshots of all of the incredible data
This is great.
that Apple pulls into your workout or your health app on your phone, taking screenshots of that data, putting it into Gemini or ChatGPT and saying, hey, analyze this workout. And then it will go through and do like you've got a professional, world champion personal trainer that's giving you extremely just really useful advice on how you can improve, where there maybe were some areas that you needed to slow down a little bit, or maybe you needed to take longer rest, because I don't like to take rest at the gym. I just tend to go in and go. And Pop is very big on a 2 to 3 minute rest in between every set, and he's told me I need to do it, and I'm just like, well, it just doesn't work for me. And then I finally put it into ChatGPT, and what did it say? Of course, you need to rest in between sets. And so I told Pop that, and he was like, oh, duh, that's what I've been telling you.
Yeah, that was the story I was actually going to tell, because I remember you were always like, because he's, we get to the gym, we drive separately, but he's done a good 30 minutes before I am, and we're doing, I do a little bit more just because I'm still trying to maintain, you leave 30 minutes before me, and we're doing similar reps and similar sets. Well, because I'm doing a full 1.5 to 2 minutes rest in between, and then I'm doing my yoga in between and all that stuff. And you've always, again, been very hesitant about, no, I don't need to do that. And then you put mine in, because I sent my stats over to him and said, hey, just put it in and see what I get. And it said, your rests are beautiful. You're doing this exactly the way you
like
need
Linda
to do.
Evangelista.
And you're and so it was something that it gave you that social proof of like. And I said, well, it shows you I've had good training, because I've done exactly what my trainers have said to do. And I remember when I moved trainers at one point, and he put me at 2 minutes rest, I was like, 2 minutes? This is a ton of rest. But
all that dead time. And I think it was really funny too that when we were comparing, like, if I work out for 30 minutes the way that I normally work out, and you work out for 30 minutes the way that you normally work out, and we do the exact same things, I will burn crazy more calories, but it's because I'm not resting. And so my heart rate is just staying super, super elevated. And again, we only know this because we have these smartwatches and they tell us all this
and
data.
ChatGPT to analyze.
And
it actually told you that you are countering your weight building, because now you've made a cardio exercise.
Endurance. Yep.
And where you can see I've gained muscles in my arms and things like that because I'm taking time to recover. So we talked a lot about fitness, but smartwatches are just not about fitness.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is not having to pull out my phone all the time. When you have calls or texts, emails, things that pop up, and you feel your pocket vibrate and you feel your watch vibrate, it is so much easier to just raise your watch up to your face and see the email that just came in without having to pull out your phone, unlock it, open up that app. Because for me, especially because I have ADHD, if I pull that phone out, I am not just doing one thing on that phone. I am going to also check Facebook and check Instagram.
TikTok
and I
videos.
might watch a couple of TikTok videos and open Reddit and read an article. And before you know it, I've lost 20 minutes. Yeah. And all I pulled my phone out for was to see what an email said. It really has reduced my phone dependence a lot. I don't have the cellular data turned on my Apple Watch. It's not that I don't have the capability to. It's just not something that I've turned on because I'm never away from my phone. I'm never away from, Wi-Fi basically. So I don't have to have that on. But, you have that turned on. And the kids have that turned on as well. They've got cellular data on their watches. So can you talk about why they have that, what that benefit is?
Yeah. So, the kids, I think it's a safety piece. And if you check our YouTube channel out, when I revamped Nashville and Beyond, I did leave a video up that has 70,000 views on it that are setting up a smartwatch, an Apple Watch for kids. I'll put in the show notes for you. So if you have a kid that's entering the technology world, we didn't want them to be on iPhones. They were on these little kid watches. I forget what they were called.
Fitbit?
No, I forget what it was called. But they were through Verizon. It was only through Verizon. It was fine. They could get calls on it, but that was it. And play a few little Bitmoji games. But then when I went to Apple Watch, I'm like, I don't want them opened up to the world of people. I want them to, you can have an Apple Watch without having a phone attached to it.
Yep.
So they were attached to my phone, and I said there's school screen times on there where it doesn't work during certain times. You control the contacts. So if someone calls them on their Apple Watch and they're not in their contacts, it literally goes to a voicemail that says, "You have reached a Copeland family phone. If you're getting this message, you're not supposed to be calling us. Thank you." And that's it.
Yeah.
Because if they're in the phone and I have it controlled in there through a password protected system, we're safe that way.
Which is not the name of your first pet, by the way.
No, it's
Password.
not. Exactly. So a lot of people have watched this video on YouTube because people want to set this up for their kids. And, I would highly recommend when people ask me, what's the best. Gizmo was the watch.
Okay.
That was the watch with Verizon. Gizmo. There's a great infrastructure for for Apple Watches for kids. And I would highly recommend that if you're wanting to track your child, you can do it through Find Me, Find My, the app there. You can see everywhere your child is. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool, and also introduces them to this technology piece. What's so funny, and going completely off topic here, do you know what the new trend is for women who have children, or anybody who has children, especially little girls who are getting around that phone age? You know what the new trend is?
AirTags.
They are buying them landlines.
Huh.
And there's a big article in People Magazine last week on this.
Okay.
And a girlfriend of mine shared it, and then everybody started talking about, yeah, we did this too, because they don't want they still want to keep their kids' innocence from Instagram, all these pieces.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they just want to talk to their friends.
Right.
And so they're putting landlines in their houses, and now they're making all these little cute phones, especially for little girls. They're like cats and all these things that we couldn't have growing up, that they're just super cool. The kids are going home and they're talking on the phone to their friends. So again, if you're looking at making the move to a smart device for your child, I think the Apple Watch is the perfect place to start. Go to our show notes, click that link, and it'll show you how to set it all up.
Yeah, and having smartwatches with things like Find My, it's not about hovering over your kid. It's about staying connected. It's about that peace of mind that comes as a parent, which I don't know why I'm talking about this. Like, I've got kids.
You care about them.
Yeah, but I do care about them. But if I could get Lily and Cosmo a smartwatch, I would make sure so I could text them and send them pictures, especially Cosmo. But location sharing does change family dynamics, because for me, I value privacy above all. I just really, really value my privacy. And while for me that means I don't have my location turned on,
Nope.
It's not that I don't want y'all to know what I'm doing, but it's more of you can text me and ask me if you want to know what I'm doing, and I'll tell you. And I don't like the feeling of somebody can just at any time pull my location up and know where I am. And
well, you shared at certain times where you're like, hey, I'm doing this, or I'm going on a date with someone who I've not met before.
Yep.
And you've shared before.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. And you're real good about, I've never felt like I've had to monitor your location, because you've always been good about saying, hey, this is where I'm going. If you go out at night, I'll get a text from you at 11:30 after I'm already in bed. You say, I'm home, I'm in bed, I've made it safely.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't do that, I'd probably say turn the thing on.
Yeah.
Because if you can't be responsible and stay in touch, I don't care how old you are, you're going to stay in touch. So yeah, absolutely love it. And then there are the features that you don't think you need until you actually need them.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of those features. I think for me, the most important feature for me about the Apple Watch is Apple Pay on the watch.
Yep.
Every time
Saves
without
our
fail,
butts.
without fail, every time I go into a store, a gas station, a mall, anywhere, and I use my Apple Watch to pay, people are like, "Oh my God, I didn't know you could do that." A lot of people don't know that you can. Well, of course, in the Apple ecosystem, which we both love and adore, you can add all of your debit cards, your credit cards, your Quick Trip, public transit cards, your membership cards, loyalty cards, even movie tickets, theater tickets, everything into your Apple Wallet. And whenever you're ready to pay, you just double tap on your Apple Watch and it pulls up that card, and it doesn't have to have your face because it knows that it's attached to your body.
Mm-hmm.
And you just hold your wrist up to the thing and it pays. And I love it. I love it so much.
There was a day I was in Washington, D.C., and we talked about this in our infrastructure episode about mass transit and both of our obsessions with mass transit. I went to Washington, D.C., and I left the hotel room with nothing but my watch.
Yeah.
I didn't need my wallet. You say you should always carry your ID. I get that. I received that from you in the judgmental world out there. But transit card, literally, I just beeped it right onto the DC Transit. I was on the train, and I have freedom throughout the day. I went to Dollywood with Micah's class, and I was by myself on purpose. I just wanted to do my thing, and I freestyled. I had my Apple Watch and nothing else. And you talking about freedom, and you say, well, freedom's going out in the nature and not taking anything with you. I don't know if this in this day and age, especially I'm 53, I don't know if that's safe or not for me to do.
Yeah.
But that is as close as I can get to being safe and having freedom, and man, it feels great.
Yeah, you talked about not having a wallet. I have been anti-wallet for as long as I can remember. Even when I was a young boy, every year without fail for Christmas, my birth mother's second husband would get me some cheap, disgusting-looking trifold or bifold wallet from Walmart. And I just couldn't ever imagine using it. And then, of course, he would pull his out, and it was just packed to the brim. It was like
crap.
It was like 4 inches thick when he got it all folded up in his pocket. And just junk and crap and receipts and membership cards and all that kind of stuff in it. And, it took a long time for most services, most businesses, and there's still a few out there that don't when you go out into the woods and the hills of the world. But it took a long time for people to get contactless payment devices. There was Kroger recently just started allowing Apple Pay, and they didn't for a while.
Walmart
because
still doesn't.
Yeah, and this is the reason Walmart doesn't do it, because they want you to connect all of that through their app, so they maintain data on you. And one day they'll switch over, I hope. But it's so nice to not have a wallet. When probably in 2018, 2019. It was kind of a half and half mix of some places it did contactless and some places still didn't. You had to have a physical card. And so instead of carrying a wallet, I bought a phone case that had a credit card slot on the back of the phone case, and I would just put my driver's license and my debit card in there. And now I don't have to do any of that.
Yep.
And I look forward to the day when Tennessee, and every state in the U.S., but specifically Tennessee because we live here, has digital IDs.
Amen.
I cannot wait for that day.
That sounds like a Miss America pageant platform.
It does.
And I am Zach Copeland, and I am your Miss Tennessee. Yeah.
And maps and such.
And maps. Those people don't have the maps. Yeah. Well, and also the watch is, again, there's so many more things, so many other things, as far as just, systemizing your day, like silly things like you're washing your hands.
Yeah.
It'll log when you're washing your hands and give you a timer to say, okay, you got to wash for 20. Today we went to Chef's Market, and I was I wanted to make sure I washed the full 20 seconds. And so I get that pleasure of that haptic of it beeping on my wrist that I've washed my hands correctly. It can tell when you're stressed, and it'll say, hey, why don't you breathe a little bit?
Yeah.
And it's not, the Apple Watch can be hateful and like be very judgy sometimes, but you'll say, why don't you take a breathing break? And that's its way. It's kind of like the Ford cars that say, do you need to take a coffee break? Because you're swerving all over the road. In this case, it's like it's feeling your, it's not going to be a medical device. It's not going to say, hey, you're about to have a heart attack, because it can't do that.
Yeah.
But it can say, hey, your blood pressure or your blood oxygen is a little bit different. Take a mindful moment.
Yeah.
And those are great little reminders. It'll give you a reminder that you're on the exact same cycle when it comes to watches. We'll be in a meeting and our watches will go off and say, it's time to stand. And we're like, we'll stop everything and just say, the Apple Watch said to stand.
We'll
so
go walk.
We got to go do it.
Yep.
And we'll literally go walk around the Broad West building when it's good weather and then come back in. And our the front desk, Sabrina, she's like, well, there goes Brian and Zach. Their watches went off. You know, and I remember, you had the old hand-me-down watch that was just, it was an old Model 1, which you were in love with. And you loved it so much. I was like, I loved my Apple Watch SE so much. I'm like, he's got to have one. He's got to have this because fashion-wise, just everything about it he's going to love. And I remember buying it and being so excited to give it to you. And then like how it just changed upped you to the next level. And we found the watch bands we love.
Yeah.
And so you have a certain watch band that, because I bought like the fitness ones for us, and then I bought like a formal one for us. Well, you didn't like the formal one while it's still workout friendly, and I ended up liking the formal one. So I keep my formal one on all times. And then you just went to your second one. I just bought that one a few weeks ago for you.
Yeah.
They're Spigen, Spigen.
Yeah.
And you're obsessed with your watch band.
Yeah. Yeah. And the strap lasted me forever, and I had to replace it because I only use it, this same one over and over and over. And eventually when you sweat enough and you stretch it out enough, it just doesn't retain its elasticity anymore. And so you've got to replace it. But the customization does help it to feel less like tech and more like personal style and choices. So
yeah, it just feels like it's part of you. So
of course there are a lot of smartwatches out there. We've not talked about all of them.
Yeah, we should be clear. We're not just talking about Apple Watches only, and we're not reviewing every smartwatch on the market because we don't have that knowledge base.
Yeah.
But, there's all kinds of other brands, and when I'm out there reading in my fitness communities, Garmin is always very well received.
It's great for runners.
Well, and this GPS system it has.
Yeah.
Again, if you're looking for security and safety and the way that the satellite systems works on it, like if everything goes down and Verizon goes out like it did a few weeks ago, in this situation, you're going to have it because it's got satellite technology, given and so if you're out there in the wilderness a lot, I would totally go Garmin. If you're a Google Pixel user, you use a different kind of phone system. Samsung's watches get very, very good reviews. So those would be the ones I would really gravitate to.
Yeah, there's Fitbits as well.
Oh, forgot about
that. There are a million different options on Amazon that you can get. There's this sweet guy at the gym, and it's the guy that you don't like talking to because he just talks your head off.
Oh my gosh, he is so sweet. But
about 3 months ago, I saw he had a smartwatch on, and I was like, hey man, I like that watch. And I was just being very casual, quick, offering somebody a compliment. Well, that turned into the next 3 weeks. Every day when I saw him at the gym, he would come up to me and remind me about the smartwatch that he bought. He would show me the Amazon link. He would tell me about a new feature that he had discovered that day. And it got to the point where I was like, oh, well, we actually ended up deciding to go with an Apple Watch, because I was literally just talking to him as a compliment, but it turned into this big ordeal. So there are options out there on Amazon too. I think he paid like $30 for his watch, and he raves on about how it can do all of these different things. And so, I think we're both, though, really big fans of the Apple Watch, mainly because we love the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah.
I've got an iMac, I have an iPad, I have a MacBook, I have the AirPods, I've got the Apple Watch, I've got the iPhone, 6 Apple products.
And they all
now.
talk.
Yeah, and they all talk to each other.
They all talk.
And if you do one thing on one, you can see it on the other. So
yeah, and I like that. I like that easiness and that flow of everything, and it's just that fitness intersection and the way it's so well designed.
Yeah.
And then you got the Apple TV, which has all the fitness pieces in it, and I of course I ride my Peloton, and that integrates extremely well. When you're at the gym, what's the system you use at the gym?
Oh, it's just the Apple Watch.
There's a system. What is it? Matrix.
Well, yeah. So Matrix they're the ones that manufacture those products at the gym, and they have this interconnectedness where you just hold your Apple Watch up to the treadmill, and it connects. And then all of the data that's on the treadmill is the data that shows up on your watch. And what I love about that is that the days that it's not connected, my watch will register less distance than it does when it's actually connected to the treadmill, because the treadmill is giving you a very accurate, these are how many miles you've gone, versus the Apple Watch, where like if you're not really wildly swinging your arms when you're walking, it's not going to measure that it's as far of a step. So
one thing you did not bring up today, I forgot. I'm surprised you didn't, is when you're working out, you think you're working out, but you're not, but it records a workout for you.
Yeah, it's super nice, super nice. You may go on a walk.
No, I'm talking about playing the piano.
Oh, yeah. So at church, as y'all know, I'm the minister of music at our church, and without fail, it will, after every church service, I get home, and there are like between 15 and 20 minutes of exercise that have been recorded. And all I'm doing is just like windshield wiper, piano playing kind of stride stuff, going back and forth.
He'll close his freaking rings at church.
I'll close my rings at church.
Stop.
But then if I go and walk outside for an hour and I'm really moving, it doesn't record it at all. So that's a bug they got to get fixed. But
there's certain things it's not consistent about. You know,
Yeah.
you'll start walking, and sometimes you'll say, it looks like you're walking, do you want to record it? And then sometimes it won't. And you're like, doggone it. There's nothing worse than getting to like the end of a workout and realize you didn't have it on the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the apps that it works with, you know, you're talking about Matrix. I'm a Strong user. Strong is an Apple Watch. It's on, you know, it's on several watches, but Strong is actually a workout system, and I can I can play videos on it and show me how to do certain workouts. It will do my rest timers for me, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's been an interesting episode because we haven't taken a break, and we're not going to. We'll go into Nashville Rounders.
Yeah, we sure are. So would you rather close your rings or hit your step goal?
Close my rings all day, every day. Step goal. My trainer, Ben, he was always like, you need to hit this many steps, like 8,000 a day. I don't always do that. So for me, it's about closing those rings.
Yeah, same for me. I don't have a step goal. So it's just about closing the rings.
So how do you feel about notifications, on or off?
They have to be on. I mean, that's the point of having the watch and the phone. If I didn't want notifications, I wouldn't have it.
I want them off.
Yeah.
I am proactive enough to look at it. I can remember to go look and say what I'm doing. I absolutely don't want those notifications.
Now, would you rather it be tracking your activity or your sleep?
I have a smart bed. So we have the Sleep Number bed, so that's already handled there. It handles heart rate. It handles all that stuff. And again, I'm like you. I don't want something on me.
Yeah.
So absolutely activity tracking 100%.
For me, I don't even need sleep tracking because I get great sleep every night. I have created, as I've talked about before, a sleep sanctuary in my bedroom.
Sleep sanctuary.
It is. I got blackout curtains. I got fans and rain noise and a weighted blanket, and you can't help but sleep good if you sleep in my bed. And very few have gotten that privilege, by the way. I just want to point that out.
True. Last one, data and charts or simple reminders.
Gosh, I'm kind of like you. I like the data. I like that hard data, being able to go back and see exactly what happened, how hard I worked, how hard I pushed myself, how many calories I burned. The simple reminder of, oh, you should stand up. Thanks. I'll do it.
Yeah, well, one thing we didn't talk about is how the Apple Watch is like the measuring stick, but then there is the data center, which is your health app within your iPhone, and inside of it houses all that stuff. So it's you can go back and you do your whole year in review, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, I absolutely love the data and charts. That's what I want, and it says a lot about how we actually use these things.
Yeah, smartwatches do work as tools, not necessarily as status symbols, although some people treat them like status symbols. But really, it's about being aware of what you're doing with these watches and having that data.
And technology can either support you or it can control you.
Yeah.
And I have learned through my relationship with technology, because it is one of our relationships, that an Apple Watch is something that just supports me. It doesn't control my life, and while it seems like it can, it actually is a tool for me to have success and to feel like my day has been used well when it comes to what I've done with my vessel as a human being, which I think is part of spirituality and your stewardship to God.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, if you are listening right now and you're at the gym or you're on a walk or you're dancing.
I just got a stand notification, by the way.
Or you're cooking. I did too.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. Your watch probably knows if you're listening, and it's time for us to stand up and move around. So.
Yeah, and if you're using Apple Watch, add us as friends. If you're using it for fitness, search for us, and maybe we'll add you. You can get part of our fitness routine, and we'll help you close those rings. So this is Nashville and Beyond, and thank you for listening.
Bye. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute legal, financial, or real estate advice. Listeners should always consult licensed professionals for guidance specific to their situation. Brian and Zach Copeland are licensed real estate agents with Compass, 615-522-5100. Music Dusty Boots by Eco Leaks, Nashville and Beyond, copyright 2026.